Hi, Ron LeGrand here. Before we get started with the podcast, I thought you might want to know that I recently recorded a 90-minute online training about how we make so much money today in the terms business. That's on pretty houses in pretty neighborhoods, not the junk houses that we have to go rehab or wholesale. I go through step by step on exactly what I and thousands of my students are doing right now to make the fastest and the easiest money in real estate without using your money or credit. If you're interested in doing just that, go to thementorpodcast.com/free training. See you there.
Welcome to the Mentor Podcast, where the most highly motivated entrepreneurs come to get their weekly dose of financial stability with host Ron LeGrand, as well as other nationally recognized thought leaders who will teach you how to get, grow, and protect your wealth.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mentor Podcast to help you make more money, make it faster, keep more of it, and retire very wealthy. Today, I have Paul Lizell on the other end here, who's got a very interesting business that I thought maybe you might want to hear about, since he literally works all over the country virtually, which seems to be the big word today. Hello, Paul. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Ron?
Okay. Why don't we start by telling everybody who you are and why you're so important that we ought to listen to you?
Absolutely. So, Paul Lizell, I'm from the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania market. Born and raised here, and started buying real estate in 2001. And I started buying HUD properties back in 2001 when the market was starting to get hot. It was kind of starting to take off a little bit from that little lull we had in the 90s. And I started fixing and flipping. So first deal I did with a guy, we picked it up for $29,500, put about $4,000 into it, sold it for $69,000 a few months later, $30K profit, split it up. Decided this is pretty good because I'm working for a community bank full time and looking to get it launched into my real estate career. So go 3 years later, I go full time in real estate, still doing the fix and flips, occasional wholesale deal too, but mostly fix and flips. Financial crisis hits. I'm getting nailed on these fix and flips, losing money on some of them, making money on others, trying to get rid of them as quick as I can. And I sit back for a second. I say, let me switch what I'm doing here because I need to shift a little bit. These wholesale deals were pretty easy to do. Why don't I shift more into wholesaling instead of going 90% rehab, 10% wholesaling? Let me switch it and go 90% wholesaling, 10% fix and flipping. So that's what we did in 2008-9 timeframe.
So in other words, you just adjusted with the times.
Totally. What you got to do, obviously, in this business, if you're not adjusting every quarter, every couple of quarters, you're going to fall behind and not see what's coming. You got to be able to see the forest through the trees.
Okay. So where are you located?
So we're in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
That's right.
We bought all over the country, 44 out of 50 states. We do have certain states that we do like more than others, like Ohio and Indiana, North and South Carolina, Texas. We've done a bit in Wyoming recently too, 6 deals in Wyoming when I hadn't done a deal in Wyoming before that. So it's kind of shifting, and I kind of go where the deals are. New Mexico too. It's another spot that's been rather hot lately for us too.
All right. Well, we got to get into how you do this. How many deals would you say you do in a year?
On average, I do about 80 deals a year. I used to get up to where I do 130, but I love that 60 to 80 where I can really manage it and work smarter and, make bigger margins on those, not work as hard.
So what's your average profit per deal?
Average profit's $12,950.
Okay. Well, that's quite a chunk of money.
Yeah, it's good, solid. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, first deal I ever did was a wholesale deal as well. And I've certainly done a lot of those and a lot of rehabs, but I'm like you, man. I'd rather work smarter than harder.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, the wholesaling house is the easiest way, the fastest way to make money in real estate. It's not without its issues, because I'm sure you'll agree that you wholesale a house, that's great. You get a check, but that's all you're going to get. You got to keep on working. So that's a downside to it.
Transactional, yes.
Yeah. So how big is your team?
So my team is actually pretty small, which is great. So it's myself. I have a disposition manager, and I'm the acquisition guy. And we have 2 virtual assistants. And those virtual assistants help both in the acquisition and the disposition side, as well with the educational company that we have as well.
So 4 people.
4 people, 5 if you include my wife, because she does the books for us and she's taking on more tasks now.
Okay. All right. So small organization, big profits.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tell me where you're getting these deals from, because you have a little unique perspective there.
Yeah, what we do is a little bit different. We buy almost exclusively from online auctions and bank REOs, whether local bank REOs, but the auctions, obviously, you can buy anywhere in the country. So we've been doing that. Good.
So that eliminates the need for you doing any marketing, really.
Yes.
Any direct mail or spending all that money.
Yes, that's a big thing. So I stopped the direct mail marketing in 2013, and we went exclusively with bank REOs at that point.
So all of your deals are online.
Yes, all of them are online.
Literally, you don't even have to leave your desk.
Nope, stay right here and do everything.
So there are days when you feel guilty about all that money you're making.
Yeah, hardly.
That's not the case? All right. Okay.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
So, all right. So tell us how this operation works. First, that means that you've got tapped into several different websites like auction.com, Hudson Marshall, and what else?
We got Zome.com, XOME, Hubzoo.com, RealtyBid.com. You have AuctionNetwork.com. Both those last two are smaller. RealtyBid more focuses on the HUD foreclosed, and HUD CWCOT, which is another program, which is before it ever goes onto the HUD home store. So you focus on those.
You bid online. All your bids are online. Now, the difference is you actually close on these properties. You don't just flip.
Yes. Yeah, that's the difference. So this is where it gets a little more costly on our end, because we have to have plenty of private lenders and capital to be able to purchase these properties. Because even if we're doing a back-to-back closing, unless we're in a dry fund state where I can use my buyer's money to purchase, which there are a few states still that do that, I have to come up with my funds for my escrow, and then the buyer comes in with theirs. So there's a cost for capital there.
Yeah. You do any business in Illinois?
Rarely. I've done a few deals. Illinois gets tough, and I've done a few in Chicago back in the day, and even in Rock Island when you go to the Twin Cities or Triad Cities. I forget what it's called over there. But it's become so costly and difficult. I've kind of avoided that area, to be honest with you. It's like some of the Northeast states.
Well, I brought it up because they got a new law now where you can't just assign a contract, which in your case would not be an issue because you're taking title.
Right.
Taking title largely because all of these lenders will not let you buy it any other way. You got to buy it in the name on the contract. Is that pretty much the case?
That is the case. Absolutely. Yeah, I can't never change that.
Yeah. So you're using private lenders to get the money?
We are. We're using private lenders, some of our own funds, and even occasionally companies like Lending One, Lending Home, Lima One Capital, some of these bigger companies.
Yeah. And how long is the average time for you to be in and out?
About 30 to 45 days generally on average per deal.
Okay. So you're just churning and burning the same private money over and over.
Exactly.
How do you pay your private lenders?
So I pay them quarterly. So we pay them anywhere from, let's say, 7.5% to 12% on average is what our private lenders get. And we pay them quarterly payments, kind of give them updates, send them statements, all those things.
Okay. And so when you get one paid off, then they get paid, they get a check, and then they just bring it right back in with the next.
Bring it right back in, do it again. Yep.
Which you probably got deals lined up before other deals close.
Exactly. Yep. The pipeline's always coming and going.
Yeah. Do you pay them any kind of a spiff above the interest when you sell one?
Occasionally, if we have a really good deal or if their money was held for a little longer period of time, we will definitely pay them a little bit extra for sure.
So this is a great thing for private investors who don't want to have their money tied up for a long time.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
When you get these things under contract, what do you do other than a title search?
So we do, except for the smaller dollar amount ones, we do get title insurance on it. If it gets over, like I'd say, it used to be our average deal size was around 20 to 25, but now we're closer to 50 to 55 with just because we're hitting different markets with higher price points.
That's your purchase price.
Correct. The purchase price on there. So we do get title on most of those. For the lower end ones, what a title company told me, and this was actually pretty smart on her part, was don't bother getting a title policy because it was like $550 on this. She's like, for every deal, put $500 into a savings account, right into a checking account. If something comes up in a title, you use those funds to pay for it, which has worked really, really well. It's kind of self-insuring on that end.
Yeah, it's like me in the pretty house business. I don't buy title insurance because I don't have anything at risk.
Right.
In case you got a title search, you'd know if there's an issue.
Totally.
And
Yep.
yeah, so that's a lot of money you're saving every year right there because it's
Heck yeah.
not cheap. Yeah. Besides, when you sell it to your buyer, they're going to get title insurance. So,
Yep.
Okay, so that's a risk horse taker. I would think that was really good advice on their part.
I agree. It was great advice you gave me. I was happy about that.
Okay, so you're sitting on the computer all day, or your crew is making offers on these auctions as they come up. How do you determine what to offer?
Okay, this is where one of my VAs comes in really handy. So let's say in an upcoming auction cycle, let's just say it's Southwest United States that's coming up, and there's 150 properties on that list. I'll send that spreadsheet over to her. She does a first level due diligence where we kind of taught her what to do, come up with the after repair value, the as is value, and it's really kind of basic. She doesn't do anything crazy. She doesn't even contact a realtor for the most part at this point. Occasionally, if she doesn't have pictures, she will. But otherwise, she's getting info, putting on a spreadsheet. And of those 150, there might be 25 to 50 that are come back, yes, that I should bid on these properties, right? These fit our criteria. In other words, a starting bid is lower than our maximum allowable offer. Because obviously, if it's above that, we're not even going to bother bidding on a property. And we usually hit aged assets first, the ones that have been on there. And this is typical use pricing this run to HUD. They will hire appraisers out of the area, don't know the values, come up with a wrong number, right? It's way too high, overinflated in the beginning sometimes.
Yep.
And then they're too slow to drop the price. They get tired of it. They take it off the HUD home store. They put it on one of these auction platforms. It's hit enough cycles where they're motivated to get rid of it. We pick it up at a great price.
Yeah, they got to get rid of them, and the longer they're out there, the cheaper they're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
It really gets good at the end of their year because you got to clean them off their books, which is true for any lending institution.
Yeah, you hit a nail on the head. That's actually a real important point, real quick. We generally pick up the vast majority of our inventory, the biggest percentage of it, between late September and early February, when the banks are really pushing stuff, trying to push stuff off the books. And then they start to pull back a little bit at the end of Q1, really kind of like March, April, in that time frame. And then it's a little bit slower, and then you pick it up again at the end of the year. There's always inventory available. It's just they're more motivated at better price than that. So we get our best margin deals at that point.
So you know when to go on vacation, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So you're going to use the ARV and you're going to use the Mayo. By the way, do you have any idea where those terms came from?
Probably from you. That would be you.
Both of them.
Yes.
I'm not getting any royalties whatsoever.
You know what? You should have trademarked those.
Yeah, I should have. Okay, but the problem is I got the ARV, which anybody can get online.
Yeah.
How to get the ARV. So I can figure the Mayo. So what percentage are you using of the ARV?
So, and that depends on the market, right? In our local market where it's a little bit hotter, we may have to do 70, sometimes 75%. But in other markets, we do hit a lot of rural markets. We can do 65 and sometimes even lower than that 65%.
But Mayo includes repairs.
Includes repairs.
So how are you getting at a repair cost?
So that's where I really depend on the agent to give me kind of a detailed list of what it needs, or at least a pretty good idea of what it needs. Does it need a new roof? Are the systems still there? You know, is heating and air conditioning there? Did they test it? Does it function? If it's septic, was that tested? Because septic, as you know, depending on where you are, could get really, really pricey. More in the Northeast here than in the Southwest. But
so you also go online and look at photos if they're available too.
Yes. Yeah, and then we'll send a company called BPO Photo Flow out there. The beauty of a lot of these is most of them are vacant. So we can get lockbox codes, so we can send them there, go take pictures of the foundation, which is really important because you know, they don't always put those pictures in. And we find out, oh, look, there's a crack in foundation. Here's an issue, a structural issue. And then sometimes we'll go back to the bank and show that or get a repair estimate on it and then try to get it at a reduced number, which occasionally they'll do.
That's after you win the bid.
Yes, after we win the bid.
Okay. So BPO Photo Flow.
Yep.
See me write that down? Okay.
That's right. That's a good company, like $30 to go out there. Can't beat it.
Are they national?
They're national. And they keep adding different markets they go in. Again, they're not in a lot of the rural markets I'm in. So a lot of times I actually have to send a realtor or a contractor out to do that for me and take those pictures.
Okay. Well, heck, if you're getting that done, well, the problem is, though, are you getting that done before you bid or after you bid?
I usually do that after I get that bid. And it's just another layer of due diligence that we're doing on it here, just to make sure everything looks good and solid and that there's no issues.
So how many times have you not closed once you've got that information back?
I'd say probably on average 6 to 10 times a year we'll run into something. For example, like we had pictures of the place, everything looked good. Next thing you know, we send this company in and they say there's 2 foot of water in the basement, right? It's flooding. So then we'll go back, get a contractor quote, what it will cost to fix that, remediate the mold, all that kind of thing, and then go back to the bank. The bank's willing to reduce the price, we move forward. If they're not willing to reduce the price by much, then we just kill it and they send us our deposit back.
So, well, first of all, I call that an indoor pool.
Yes.
Okay. Second of all, have you had any trouble with them trying to blackball you because you didn't close after you got the offer accepted? Or
yeah, I know a couple people that's happened to. A friend of mine who's an investor in Hudson Marshall blackballed him because he didn't close on like 4 deals that happened in a short period of time. Usually, if you have a pretty valid excuse and you send them the information and request them right away, they're okay with it.
Yeah.
But if you lag and you're slow, then there's issues and they will try to do that.
Plus, you could always make offers in different LLCs too.
Yes, there's always ways around it. We're smarter than them, Ron.
Okay, all right. You're smarter now.
Now.
You weren't then. All right.
Now.
So, how do you go about marketing these things once you get them?
So that's where we will spend sometimes a little bit of money too. So especially if we're in a new market, obviously if we're in a market, say St. Louis, where we have a bunch of buyers, we blast it out to our list. But if we don't have that, we do a couple of creative things. One, we actually pull a cash buyers list in that area and mail postcards of the property. Secondly, what my disposition guy does, he will actually go into bigger pockets, pull people from different areas, and then sometimes market and contact them. Another one he does, he goes into RIAs in those local areas, contacts the people there, and then emails them, calls them, makes cold calls off of that list as well. So a couple of different creative things. And in the rural areas where you generally have an older population who doesn't use this as often or doesn't have great internet service out there, we actually advertise in the newspaper, and that still works great. I learned that one from you, by the way. Newspaper advertising.
I don't remember receiving any money or anything.
Again, you got to trademark that one, right?
Okay. All right. Are you one of my old students?
I am. I bought some of your products. Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. What's that?
When was that?
This was in 92, 93. My grandmother and I went to one of your events and we bought one of your programs. It was great. Cassettes. Everything was on cassettes at that point. Listen to them over and over.
Well, that's actually about the time I started in the information marketing business. First speech I gave was in 97, which was horrible. But I actually learned about that business in 91. So you got in really early.
Early, yes. That's where you had the great creative financing things. You're like, drop me in any city and I with nothing, and I could figure out how to get deals put together.
Yeah. Still can.
Yes, you still can.
Only easier now. Yeah,
I agree. Technology makes it a lot easier now.
My viewers know that I'm in the terms business.
Yes.
You're in the wholesaling business, but frankly, we're both in the same business. And we buy and we sell houses.
Yes.
So do you do national advertising to sell these things? Because you got a lot of national buyers going on out there right now.
We haven't done that yet, but that's something we actually really have to look into, because you're so right. There's a lot of people that don't mind buying wherever in the country at this point.
Paul, the last 3 I've sold were for people from totally out of town, and 2 of them never even looked at the house. I just bought it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And one of them's going to get a big surprise when they look at it. It's a piece of crap.
Hey, but you know what? You can move them that way. Facebook Marketplace, actually, there's one other one I forgot to mention. Yeah. Facebook Marketplace has actually worked really well for us in different markets, especially in Texas. Little nugget there.
Good. Yeah, we use it too. Don't you? I'm sure you've seen this same thing. I mean, you've been around quite a while too. I have never seen a more rabid market of greater fools than there is out there today buying these junkers.
You got that right.
And where they're getting their information from. Apparently, they're not applying math to these houses because there's no way it'll work if they're going to buy them and rehab them. Now, I understand there are some buyers who are not buying to sell them for a profit. They want to buy them and fix them and run them like hedge funds and the like. So they don't need the big spreads that we need. But that's not who I'm selling to. And, it saddens me really that these folks are getting their training the really, really expensive way.
Yes.
Yeah. You think education is expensive, try ignorance. And man, and most of them will not make it because they're going to lose money on them anyway.
Yeah. 90% of people fail in this business, right? I might even greater than that.
Yeah. And I would say a good percentage of those just try and don't get any training, which is a stupid thing to do no matter what business you're entering into. So
Totally agree.
What do you do when you buy one, you figure out you paid too much and you already closed on it?
Then we get creative. So we've had this happen a couple of times. And what we'll end up doing is we'll sell it with owner financing, right? Terms basically with what you got. So if it's something that's literally only worth maybe, 60,000, but we're into it for 55, we know we can't make any profit on this thing. We'll try to market at 79, create a note on it, get some money down and get that note paying and either keep that note or sell that note over time. We actually always have a bunch of notes. I have probably about 8 or 9 of them right now that we have with owner financing. I mean, it's a great long-term play. I really, really love the owner finance game, the terms.
Yeah. And you create those notes so when you sell them, you don't get kicked in the butt.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for our listeners, they don't understand that anytime somebody's making me payments, I can sell that thing and cash out of it.
Yep.
But it's going to be at a discount. And so how you create it will determine the size of that discount and a couple other factors.
Very true.
How you get your private lender paid off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's key.
Sell a note or extend their term, or what do you do?
Usually we try to, for the most part with the private lenders, if we have those funds on there, we usually try to sell it as quick as we can and try to get their money back as quick as possible. So we might have to take 6 payments and extend their term and pay them a little bit more on it, which they're usually good with. We explain it to them. We tell them what we're doing. They're usually good with that. But I hate it when I don't mind using my own money on that, but I don't like using private lenders' money on that. I prefer having my own money at risk and not theirs.
But Paul, you don't know that till after you bought it.
True. Then I could but I could potentially refi it out myself, just pay for it myself.
Yeah, you don't have to refi it. You just get an assignment of the existing note from the lender. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. In other words, no cost, nothing changes downtown.
Right.
Got something else I'm thinking. I mean, that our listeners right now are saying, well, you can't buy these things this cheap in my city because my city's different and we're special here. No deals here. You ever heard that before?
Oh, yeah. Hear it all the time. And you know what? I still find deals in our market, and our market is red hot off the MLS. I still find deals. There's always deals nonstop wherever you turn in any city.
Always have been, always will be, and there's nothing you can do to stop it, but you can sure talk yourself out of it, can't you?
Absolutely. It's easy to do.
Here's what I'm thinking though, Paul. Okay, let's say I'm sitting in a hot market and it's very hard to find the deals that I can buy. Just get the hell out of town.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on the computer. I plug in a different city. It doesn't seem like it's rocket science to me, especially the way you do it.
It's not. It's easy. It is our future. We've been trending this way for a long time. I've been doing this since 2010 as far as buying in these outside markets. But I always felt it would be the long-term play. And obviously COVID pushed it quicker and accelerated that and forced people into buying in different markets they didn't want. Or people that lived in California where the markets are super unaffordable there to find deals. Yeah. They were forced to go in other markets.
So you are, did you make more money during COVID or less money?
Way more. Way more.
Yeah, right on.
Our profits are through the roof right now with what we're doing.
Yeah. But gosh, it would make a good excuse not to do anything, wouldn't it?
Oh, totally.
What a waste of a good excuse, Paul.
We had so many students lined up, and then during that time, they backed out last second. We're like, this is the greatest opportunity. This is where you want to be in now. A bunch of them did back out, and now some of them have funneled back in now because you've explained to them that what's coming is going to be good.
It doesn't need but one little obstacle to get a lot of people to back out. They just haven't developed the grit yet. Now, I'm sure when you started, everything worked out perfectly, didn't it?
Yeah, not really, but it worked out. You find a way. Look, if we don't fail, we don't grow. Right? I mean, as simple as that. Luckily, our first deal, and they say that your first deal, if that's successful, that can push you forward, right? Our second deal was nowhere near successful. It was basically a break even or a slight loss, but we learned from that and moved on.
That's right. Now, When you're buying, you don't really pay mayo, do you? You buy them less than mayo?
Buy them less than mayo. Almost always. Look, I don't feel comfortable going up to mayo, to be honest with
No,
you. I
me
really
either. Me either. That really reduces the number of people that will buy them from you,
for sure.
even with the greater fool. So how far below mayo do you go? You got a formula, I know.
You know what? Let's just say if I use a formula, I would probably say a dollar amount. Like I want to go 10K to 15K less than mayo on my numbers, just because it gives me a safety margin for wholesaling it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we find out, oh crap, this needed more and more than I even thought, you still got a little margin there to play with. So for me, it's more of a dollar figure than a percentage.
Would you be surprised that I do the same thing? I teach all of my students, you never pay more than 10% below mayo. I'm talking $10,000 below mayo.
Below mayo. That's just smart. I think it's a great, I think it's a good, safe play because that's your wholesale fee technically, right?
Correct. Now you're going to have a lot of people saying, well, I can't get any of that price. So you just told me earlier that you get a small percentage out of these 151 properties bought. So you got to go through a lot of oysters to get to the pearls, but you're doing it online and you got a team to do that. They're exchanging their labor for your money. So all you got to do is make the decisions of what you want to buy. And frankly, you got it down to how much we want to offer to simple math. Mm-hmm. Do you approve the purchase price, the offer price?
Yes, I do. It's got to go through me on that.
Why? Don't you trust your staff, Paul?
Not my virtual assistant, no.
Why not?
You know what? I could do that. And again, part of it is just I enjoy that part of it so much, that last final thing. I could easily teach somebody to do that. Honestly,
I'm going to give you a challenge.
Yep.
I want you to go to your virtual assistant, give them a little training, and then I want them to tell you what they would offer and see what percentage of that time you agree with. And then tell them why. If you don't, you mark my words, 30 days from now, you won't even want to do it anymore.
I'll replace myself.
It's unimportant.
I'm going to do that.
What's the worst going to happen? They lose a little money for you. So what? Make it up on the next one, man.
Totally.
Words. Hey, I'm just trying to say, get the hell out of the way.
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
Let me focus on other things.
You told me you had some training. We're not here to sell anything, but you got something free. Like I think you got a Facebook group you want to get people in, and then there's where they'll learn what you can do for them. Because this is a great business you're talking about here. I mean,
absolutely.
I'd call it a perfect home-based business because that's what it is.
It is. And we have, like, if you could see behind me, REO Auction Academy, learn to buy from your bedroom. You can literally buy from your bedroom here, your couch, your home office, wherever you want to. Yep. It's the beauty of it. And
are from Hawaii.
Yeah, we're out in Hawaii. Got the Hawaiian shirt on here.
Yeah.
You too?
My shirt, man.
I love it.
Salute it, don't
I love it. It's beautiful. Red, white, and blue. That's awesome. It's a thing of beauty. Okay. Yeah, we have a Facebook group that we have closed one. We do a monthly meeting, which we're actually at a point where we're thinking of doing every 2 weeks now. One, because the market's changing and we're getting more and more questions from students. So I think we are going to open it up to at least every couple of weeks here. And it's usually anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour long. And people put in their questions, they get to ask their questions and talk about different markets. We talk about things that we're running into. We give them sample deals that we've just done recently or are working on currently. So it's a great way for them to learn, without having to pay a price tag yet, just to see if it's something that piques their interest.
So when they go to your group, they will learn all about your training and so forth.
They'll learn all about it.
Okay. Right. So how do they get to your group?
It's www.reoauctionacademy.com.
REOauctionacademy.com. Okay.
And they can reach out to me. It's Paul at reoauctionacademy.com. That's going to be the quickest and easiest. If they do that and ask just about the Facebook group, we'll get them access into the Facebook group there.
I'm guessing they're going to ask some questions after this is over. So that's where they're going to get them answered as well, right?
Absolutely. We'd be happy to answer any questions they have.
Okay, good. And if you're watching this and you don't recognize my face, you can go to ronlegrand.com, get all kind of free stuff there and find out all about what we do and what we teach and so forth. We're actually, again, in the same business as Paul. He just buys a different type of house. And we buy wholesale houses too, but I'm in the terms business. You're in the wholesale business. It'd be cool if they would learn how to put those two together.
It's important to do that. You need to be able to put both. You need to have more than one tool in your tool belt, but the terms is definitely the best, longest term play.
Yes, it is. Well, sir, I don't have any more questions for you, so I am going to turn you loose, and I appreciate you taking the time to let me grill you today.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks for talking to me. Thanks for the interview.
And I hope all of our listeners actually follow up and get in touch with you because, what you're doing could change people's lives. I'm sure that it already has.
Yes, it's been good. Our students have done well, and our success rate is pretty solid because we keep up with them.
All right. Well, thank you again, and thank everybody for listening. And I'll see you on the next issue of thementorpodcast.com.
That's all for this edition of the Mentor Podcast. To connect with Ron and learn how you can attain financial freedom, as well as up-to-date strategies to grow and protect your wealth based on today's discussion, go to www.connectwiththementor.com.